Hello, today we're going to discuss why it's essential to step into your leadership. And I've been inspired to talk about this because I feel like I get away less and less with not stepping into my leadership. I feel like I get away less and less with getting caught up in other people's business or other people's projects, other people's belonging if it's not a deep or true belonging for me. It feels very temporary, or it feels like I have a quota which I can allocate towards that, and that quota gets used up, and then it can be depleting if I don't step into my leadership, if I keep following too much of what isn't really mine, but it's just me chasing some purpose or connection, but it's not bringing me closer anymore to who I am or who I need to be from here. So I think I can romanticize this idea of being able to be a part of something and continually doing that. But if that organization or that community or that group of people, or if that project or activity, whatever it is, if that isn't allowing me to keep growing into my highest self, then I'm in trouble, and it will start taking significantly, taking me from what has now become my highest expression or highest opportunity. So I need to drop this idea that I can just kind of set sail for whatever period of time and just kind of set and forget. I actually can't afford to do that. I need to monitor things. I need to be working in the real time, and I need to be dynamic and adaptive based on my inner parameters, not based on what everyone else is doing, not based on, the phone call that's saying, hey, are you coming to this thing tomorrow? Or these days it's usually messages, isn't it? Either way, it's not about expectations. It's about what's really happening inside, and I need to give a lot of attention to that to actually listen to the highest use of my energy. And it's not about getting really precious with my energy. It's just about not turning away from being true to myself. It's actually about not taking for granted that I've already got things mapped out, because the reality is that I'm mapping things out all the time, and if I think that I've got everything mapped out a fair way in advance, then that could be cause for concern, or it could be my ego creeping in, going, hey, I've got the solution. I've got my answers now. I can relax and just kind of cruise along for a while, and that certainly appeals to me on one level. So I have to be careful I don't just fall into autopilot too quickly or too easily. And so one of the main litmus tests for am I actually following my highest purpose is it's having a better and better relationship to my body. And what I mean by that is it's about being attuned. It's about honoring what's happening for me physically and emotionally, and having a space where I can be real, and actually having a space where I can give attention to my experience, just my physical, emotional experience. And I've had to sort of dismantle a lot of patterns, or let's say create better patterns over the years, because the old patterns were very much about distracting myself from kind of doing nothing, like the idea of doing nothing or just being or just sitting down and meditating like it was something I could easily just put off and put off and put off. And, you know, I became pretty obsessed with technology, for example, when I was pretty young. And just this, it's like a well of information. It's like a well of entertainment. It's a well of, you know, lights and pretty colors and all sorts of goodies. But, you know, a lot of them are hazardous because they reel you in and they latch on, and, you know, all of a sudden you're watching your 11th YouTube video and it's 2 a.m. So it's very addictive. Technology is extremely addictive, and it's a huge issue at the moment for many people. So, and I don't know if the solution is totally easy or totally simple. It's multifaceted, and certainly one facet of that is to not turn away from your highest purpose and your imperatives, your spiritual imperatives. Because when you give attention to your body, when you give attention to your present moment, your deeper existence, when you slow down and start listening, kind of below the buzz of all of the hum of all the thoughts and the chatter, when you listen beneath that, it's like what's in the center of everything, you know? What is really craving your attention? And what is exciting? Where is your enthusiasm wanting to go? And that's a good sign of like, this is something that is worth paying attention to. And the enthusiasm should feel like it's not just like an instant gratification, or it's different to the enthusiasm you get when, you know, you unwrap the chocolate bar and you're like, ooh, you know, chocolate. I get enthusiastic about that, but it's a deeper enthusiasm that is like, oh, this is something that's important to me, something that's calling me forward into something that is powerful, something that is, and it could just be also a step that emerges, like just make this phone call, or book this appointment in, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be this grand plan. Like in and of itself, there might be a vision, but there might also just be a next step. And really, it's so important to just trust that next step. and realize that, yeah, everything is just built kind of one brick at a time. And don't spend too long kind of gazing at the kind of wall that you think you need to build. Or, I mean, when I say wall, that's probably not the best analogy, but the castle or the palace or the creation, the wonderful creation that you think you need to kind of be looking at endlessly and getting perfectly right. Don't spend time too much looking at the vision of that, but just saying, hey, what's the next brick that I could be placing down and putting into place? It's a really good question to ask, and it's not coming from what I should be doing. It's not coming from what is a quick fix or just a chocolate bar, like an instant gratification. It's not coming from that same place. It's coming from like a longing, like a deeper longing, and it's coming with a buzz to it. Like when we lock in with our intuition, there's sort of a buzz and a sense of excitement. So it's important that you give yourself that quality time. The more quality time you give to yourself and have with yourself, you'll find it much easier to create that with others too. So give yourself quality time, which often means a lot of simplicity, a lot of laying down of distraction and laying down of the have-tos and the shoulds and just all of the incessant tasks that maybe you get caught up doing. It's actually when you have a breather, when you have a break, when you are in more of a meditative state, or at least giving yourself an opportunity to come into that meditative state, which can really give you some really clear answers. And they're the sort of answers that you may not get if you're just poring over social media for another hour and then another hour, or if you're just keeping up with all the same things you're normally doing and just getting along to this class and that meeting and this appointment and this job and just getting caught up in the usual stuff. You may not be listening to some of these deeper longings. So really stepping into your leadership, it doesn't have to be this jolting, overbearing, overwhelming thing. It's actually just done in stages, in steps. It's done in actually not necessarily doing more, but actually it could be doing less. It could be getting clear on what the right things are so you can do more of the right things and let go of more of the other things. That is healthy leadership. I mean, leadership is always asking for change. It's always asking for like a stripping back of all of the stuff that's going on and just letting go of some of the stuff that really doesn't matter that much, and not as much as we may have thought or we currently really think. It's actually taking stock. It's taking inventory and going like, what is it that actually wants to come through, rather than like, what am I just going to do by default? So I might leave it there on leadership. There's a lot I could say, and I think I'll jump on for another session, another discussion on leadership. But for now, that might give you some things to consider, and yeah, just wishing you courage and trust in your leadership. And I think those two things are really qualities that we can keep growing and keep building when we pay attention, when we prioritize this higher calling, this higher purpose, this like stepping into our uniqueness, stepping into our unique mission, our true path, and trusting our true path. And yeah, it's amazing how ultimately it's going to lighten things. It's like we're going to lay down baggage as we become more of who we're really here to become. So I will leave it there. Thanks for tuning in, and look after yourself and look after your leadership, and I'll see you on the next episode.